Greetings, my fellow gamers. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Get Rexx't, and welcome back to Let's Quest episode 36. Now, in today's episode of Let's Quest, I had a bit of a issue in regards of what topic I was going to talk about, because originally I was thinking about using this here episode of Let's Quest to talk a bit about legendaries. It was just something which struck me earlier this morning with the recent edition of the I wouldn't call it legendaries, but legendaries, which is going to be world drops within the Legion expansion. I figured out that, I should take a moment and talk a bit about legendaries. But then it hit me that I could take bigger topics, such as legendaries, and instead make videos about them with my Topic of the Month series, which I am still on schedule to make. You're going to see the first Topic of the Month coming out by December's end. Promise this time, not like what happened in November. But anyway, so yeah. I decided to take this here Let's Quest episode instead and talk about something which makes a bit more sense towards what the Let's Quest series is targeted for, and that is about quest leveling itself, and what the current state of quest leveling is like, and what Blizzard could do in the future with older quests, possibly, maybe, to make them better, because it's, as if I represented earlier, that currently in World of Warcraft, quest leveling doesn't seem appealing to a lot of people. A lot of people will choose to, like, spam dungeons instead. They'll get a group or just play as a healer or as a tank, and they'll spam dungeons all day out, and if they play on a DPSer, they're just gonna find someone who is a tank or a healer and spam the dungeons all the way to level cap, because dungeons, as mentioned earlier, grants a lot of experience, and for some reason, I'm not sure why, that's why I enjoy questing more than I enjoy the dungeon running, but some people, for some reason, seem to have this picture of that dungeons is less tedious than questing. Now, I for one like the questing because, like, it's a new take on the different lands. I know I've done these quests like 10 times now, maybe more, but even so, I feel it's more tedious personally to do the same dungeon over and over, because you're gonna reach this one point, you can have as many looms as you would want to, but without that experience rate potion, you will at some point reach this end where you're gonna get the same dungeon again and again. Like, Northrend dungeons is a beautiful example of that, of how you can sign up in level 69 and you'll get, like, Utgard Keep again and again and again and again until you're sick of it. But so yeah, I think that one of the main issues currently with quest leveling is the pace of it. Like, ooh, dragon. Like, I can see why some people would call them tedious, like, having done them multiple times over and over again. It feels a bit boring to do the same quest yet again, but at the same time, I don't see it. It's a bit of a struggling issue for me, this right here, because I have just been looking around at what people talk about on web pages, community forums, etc., why they dislike the quest leveling. And then I'm trying to put myself in their position, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me, because I still really enjoy quest leveling. But anyway. So some people are talking about that quest leveling feels a bit too tedious, and it's just boring. Overall, it's boring. Now, something which could be done about this would be to make more interactive quests. Like, I've seen other examples from other MMORPG games which nails that aspect, which has the questing department really going well for them. Better than what of which World of Warcraft currently has. But then again, it's the thing about how much time they can spend on making the quests, how to put it, more interactive, more specific, so on and so on. Keep in mind that we have, and I'm gonna say this now, we have since the Cataclysm kinda seen a somewhat decline on different aspects of the game. Like, for instance, take a look at PvP. How much PvP did the PvPers get within Warlords? They get Ashran. How much PvP did the PvPers get within, or will they get in Legion? Well, we're gonna see a new honor system, which sure kicks ass, but no new arenas or battlegrounds, like, come on. So I think that we shouldn't complain too much about how the questing currently is, because there is games where it's far worse. And I know that with the work and effort put into the questing in Legion, and zones, which is closer to the level cap, there really shouldn't be a lot to complain about, because Warlords of Draenor, for instance, the Draenor Zone, is a good example of a lot of questing done right. But I think what some people also want is for questing to feel a bit more centered around what they're doing. Like, for instance, say that you have these different quests, and you take on these quests in different ways, depending on, say, what class or spec you're playing. Now, I think that the artifacts in Legion is going to justify some of this, because there's going to be quests in order to get the artifact weapons. There's different types of quests for each artifact, which I think is absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. I'm so looking forward to that shit. I really, really am. But I think it would be a good idea by Blizzard by someday in the future to maybe go back to these earlier games, earlier expansions, earlier versions of World of Warcraft, and make kind of a revamp again. I'm not telling them to, like, totally screw up like things like they did with the Cataclysm, with the zones and so on. They don't need, like, rechange the entire world to redo some of the quests, because in the long run, as an MMORPG, you would want to have some quests to do. Now, I see dungeons is a viable way of leveling up, and I know that a lot of people think dungeons is a really, really important part of, if not one of the most important parts about an MMORPG. But then again, to only have dungeon leveling as well, it's simply just not going to work out in the long run. So I think it would be smart if Bliss went back and took over some of the previous quests, changed them a bit up, started them a bit up, because, for instance, Outland, as we're approaching Outland right now, we're like, what is it, we're 56 now, we're like 1.5 level away from Outland, and Outland is a good example of a zone kind of worn out, where the quests, I will admit, is a bit boring. I can see why people want to get around these quests by doing dungeons instead. I kind of do, just for Outland, at least, just for Outland, because it wasn't until Wrath of the Lich King that I felt that the quests themselves became a bit more interactive, you know, with voice acting and so on. It's things like that which keeps you interested, which makes you like the quests, when there's a lot more life, a lot more spirit put into the quests. That's why I like, for instance, I really, really like the questing zones of Draenor, and I'm really looking forward to see how it turns out in Legion. And if Blizzard were to go back and look over that in some of the previous zones, see if they can't squeeze in a few things here and there, I think that would make questing a lot more appealing. Because right now, if you're on your way to level up your 10th catcher or something, you know, just to cap the class or whatever reason you have to level up, I can see that going through the same zone for the 10th time, both can and is really, really boring. But then again, that's why I think that Blizzard should start taking up on things, because I have seen forum posts, people coming with different suggestions of what, you know, they could do with old day quests to make them better, to stir things up a bit, like, make the questing a lot more appealing and interesting again. Now, but as also as I mentioned, it would be a bit challenging to put all the time and effort into it. Now, once again, keep in mind, Blizzard is a company, run by regular human beings, just like you and me, and they don't have unlimited time on their hands to do whatever they would want to. So, as they're focusing so much on the future expansions and making sure that we have good quality pouring into those, I think is pretty decent. I like that. So to have them go back and change older times quests and so on, I'm not sure. I personally, I want to see them put a bit more, for instance, time into PvP. We really need some new battlegrounds and arenas here. There's no questions asked about that. We really do. We sorely do. But then again, for them to backtrack and change the old quests would also mean that they would, to a certain degree, have to change the zones. And then we're back on the topic of how much time are they going to spend on this and so on. Because we can't... How am I supposed to put this properly in order to, like, not make it seem all stupid? We can't have expansions coming at a faster pace, which Blizzards want to, and at the same time expect them to make everything optimal. Like, there's no way in hell we're ever going to see a perfect MMORPG. Although Blizzard is, to what some people would say, kind of close to a perfect MMORPG, we're never going to see the perfect MMORPG. That Blizzard went back and changed all the quests when they revamped the entire Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor for Cataclysm is pretty good. Like, the quests in the current zones is a lot better than the previous ones. Those of you who played before the Cataclysm and actually quested up and have done all the quests in just here Blasted Lands as an example, will not. The quests now, it rewards a bit more, and it makes the entire questing progression go a lot faster than what it did back then. So we shouldn't complain all that much, but yeah, for instance, for zones like the Outlands, I can see why people want Blizzard to go back and change things up. Now then, there is, to some people, questing is the most essential part of a MMORPG, which to me also is part of the truth. I really think that questing is one of the more essential parts of the game. So to keep the quests fresh is an important topic. It's something which really shouldn't be overshadowed. And when we've had zones like the Outlands, which has been there for like what 8 years now, and they haven't done any quest changes to it yet. I get what people are going on about. I really do. I really do. But it's just that we can't have it. We like can't get everything put into the same box. We just really can't. I personally wish that we could, of course, like everyone else. I think it would have been really awesome to see the Outlands revamped, but not necessarily the zone itself, because then again, when you think about what are people holding dear to them about this game, some people, I have one guy I know who actually quit this game just because of how they screwed up the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor. He said, like, this is not the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor that I had back in, that was precious to me. This is no longer the zone it used to be, and because they ruined such a giant centerpiece of the World of Warcraft franchise, just flat out quit. Just quit on the spot. Now, over-exaggerating a bit, maybe? Just maybe? But I can also see the appeal of it, because I don't think there's a lot of people out there who will want to see zones like Northrend or Outland changed. They don't want to see them altered in any way in order to change for the quests. But then there's like matching these things together, how to efficiently switch out tune-up quests, make the quests more appealing, more... what's it called again, the word? I keep forgetting all these words that I'm talking. To make the quests more interactive for you as a class in different ways. Like, for instance, check out like just this quest here for an example, not just anybody. Oh, that's a terrible pun right there. But for instance, not just anybody, as an example, different ways of approaching that quest depending on your class. Like rogues, for instance, having to sneak in and like find these chests in a bit more shaded away places. Say, for instance, a warrior would have to charge in, there would be like abundance of ogres all around the chest. Like, take on multiples at once, show that like he's the boss in this place. A hunter, I'm not sure, like, take things on a bit more passively and progressively. Then again, depends on the spec. Like, as marksman hunters isn't supposed to have pets in the next expansion, so on. But then there's to do this with absolutely all the quests, or some of the quests, in order to, like, wake the attention. Because if they were to do this with, like, say, just the finale quest for each of every zone, it would make some attention, but, of course, and sadly, to some people requesting a lot, it wouldn't be enough. It just wouldn't be enough to some people. And then we need to look forward again to Legion and see how current things are in alpha, and it's looking really promising, especially the artifact weapon quest chain and how things are moving out in the Zone of the Broken Isles, that's one. And if we're supposed to take all that, all those solo class slash spec-specific quest types, and try to convert that backwards in some way in order to alter the previous quests in the previous zones, I don't think it would work in the long run, because I see people would... Fuck you. I see that people would want it, I really, really do. Ooh, a rare. Wait, no, it's not. The regular hyena. I was just red because of the buff. Screw you. Because I can see how some people would want it, because people miss... Some people miss the way quests were, with a lot more traveling around the world and so on, but some people want the older quests to be more up-to-date to the current quests. I, for one, would love to see more quests with the voice acting and so on. Like, I like the roleplay aspect of this game, I really, really, really do. And so, zones like Draenor and upcoming zones, as what I've seen in Legion, looks so promising. It looks really, really good. But if we were to convert that back into these old zones, then I think it would be a bit of a crash, because I wouldn't, in the long run, I just wouldn't want to see the change in the quests. Eventually I'll be like, oh, well, they've changed the quests, why can't we just change the zone a bit as well then? And I think that's also an issue here, that we don't want to see like this chain start of people like, oh well, you fixed the quests, now why can't you fix the zone and make everything a lot better? About that, it's just about that. I don't think we can have that possibility. I don't think we can see Blizzard put all that time into the old zones to change up the quests. Now, if they for some reason ever were to change up Outlands or Northrend, or in future times, the Kata zones again, or like, for instance, I don't see why they would go back and change Pandaria, but yeah, just examples. I think that would be in futuristic expansions where we see something like the Cataclysm, where Deathwing like came along with the countries. We would see an expansion which would bring these countries back into, have these countries as relevant factor once again. Now, I'm pretty sure that Blizzard has stated that they're not planning to go back to change Northrend or Outland. At least I think they've said that, as far as I remember. So to see changes on the zones, I really don't think we will do. And if we're then going to see changes to the quests without changing the zones, I don't think so either. Now, I get why people will want. I get why people will want more interactive and more interesting quests, because there's tedious grind, like, go kill X summons of this, go kill X summons of that. It gets boring really fast. And then you have, like, bigger quests, like, for instance, this one, we're supposed to resurrect Loramus, and there's, like, a bit of there, a bit of there, it's a bit back and forth. Collect these items, collect this, collect that, go do this. It's better than the simple kill and collect quests. But then again, I can also see why they, again, become a bit boring. So to have them more class-specified would be really, really fun, but I don't think we're going to be able to see that. I think that we should just put our current, put our current thoughts about how questing situation currently is, and appreciate how it is right now, because if you look back to the classic World of Warcraft, at least for Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor, not everyone's played since Classic, of course. I know there's a lot of people who started after Cataclysm and might not get the gist. But trust me, questing back then was a lot, worse than it currently is. Now, for one, I loved riding around. Like, oh, you're in Gore Crater, you're supposed to help this dude. Go to Winterspring. Okay, sure, go to Winterspring, and then there's all the way back and forth, up and down. You traveled a lot more back in the time, and that was because it feels like people had more time back then to do quests compared to what they do now. Yet Blizzard is also trying their best, as far as I've seen, to adapt to the new type of player base which is arriving. Like, for each expansion, we see a bit of a change in the player base, who plays the game, what kind of people, etc., etc. And to satisfy everyone is really, really hard, and there is so many ways you can level up in a game. And when World of Warcraft is giving you basically 3 options, which is via Battlegrounds, which is so slow that I'm not going to even mention it. And then we have these dungeons, which is a fast way if you have a good pre-made group, but otherwise, not so much. Then you have quests, which goes really fast, but it gets really tedious pretty fast for some people. Now, I, for one, wouldn't really want to see much of a change. I like the Wrath of the Lich King zones. I think the changes done to the classic zones is fine. I would not, once again, mind a change to the Outland zone, but that's pretty much it. But I don't think we can have that unless they change the zones, and I don't see why Blizzard would want to go back and change these zones with a new expansion. Now, they got a lot better at the questing aspect with TBC, clearly they did, but then again, I don't think we're going to see that changed anytime soon. So, to those watching the Let's Quest series, being a bit mind-boggled by how much I can enjoy this questing, is because I like the adventure of it. Now, I've been reading through all these quest texts at least once or twice on different characters I've looked up, and I still find it a bit entertaining. It's of course a bit meh when these assholes dace you, and yeah, but there's some specific quests which, yeah, of course, gets a bit tedious the 10th time you do them, but I still think questing is a pretty good way to level up. I really enjoy questing. Questing is an important part of an MMO to me, and I think Blizzard has executed it really well. But at the same time, I can see why people want Blizzard to go back and change up some of the quests to make them feel more like the current versions, because there's no sticking underneath the chair that for each expansion we've seen, questing has gotten a lot better. It has. And once again, looking at how it currently looks in Legion, amazing! So I don't think we should request too much of change of pace regarding old quests just yet. Like, it depends, like, if World of Warcraft is going to keep on going, is going to be a game we're going to be playing for, like, the next 20 years, after it's already been running up for 10 years, then sure, we would have to see some changes in the questing zones and the pace of the quests in the older zones and how the questing pace at all is. Because some people just find it slow. It's not that just everyone thinks that quests in themselves are boring. Some people like quests, it's just that it gives too little XP, and they think that it's a bit too boring. But then again, you're supposed to gain 100 levels, you can boost your character, there is remnants now to help you get your experience up faster, and so on and so on. So I think we should appreciate the few things we currently have and how questing state currently is compared to how it was once upon a time, and take it from there. Now, again, Legion is coming up, it's going to be an amazing expansion as far as it looks, and for those of you who are quest hungry for newer and better quests, I really think that you're going to enjoy Legion. And for those of you who are stuck up with like trying to level up a character, you're sitting there, you're like, oh, this is just so boring. Just bite your lips, like just take a hold, grasp onto something, just bite your lips a bit. We're closing in on better expansions with better quests. I'm pretty sure Blizzard is going to add more ways for us to level up faster. I mean, like, we have so many heirlooms now. I think we're going to see more heirlooms as time progresses. Like half, it's almost a set now. Like, where's my boots? Where's my belt? Where's my gloves? I think we're someday going to see, like, fully loomed characters, which sounds a bit ridiculous, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see that one day. And then all these past quest conundrums is going to be a bit more over, because you're going to level so fast, you're not really going to be bothered by it. And if you're for some reason running around, you're not leveling with looms, and you're like, oh, I just don't have enough gold for the looms, don't complain about quest leveling and the quest pace if you don't scrape the money together to buy looms. Looms are not expensive. Upgrading the looms, that's another thing. I can agree that upgrading the looms is a bit expensive, but looms themselves really aren't that expensive. They really aren't. Trust me. 500 gold for a loom? That ain't expensive. It just isn't. But yeah, I personally think that questing state at the moment is fine. Could have been better in some zones, and some quests could have been changed up a bit, but it's a lot better now than what we had. And we should really put our minds into what's coming and not what it is in the past. Like, I know, of course, you can't really skip that when you're, like, thinking out, oh, I need to level up a character in order to, like, get the level cap and so on. I know, but eventually I think we will see ways to make the overall questing go a lot faster. Especially, like, if you get more looms, you have these potions. I just think we're overall going to see a lot more remnants coming up to help us level up a lot faster. I really don't hope that we're going to see an era where Blizzard goes like, oh, well, like, our current max level is level at 200, and now, when you start a new character, it is already finished at level 50. We start seeing things like that, I think it would be a bit sad. It would actually destroy the game a bit. So, as for the current state, let's just be appreciative of what we have, and that they have at least changed up the calendar in the Eastern Kingdom zone, so that the quests aren't travel across the world, because, again, a lot of people throws that off. They don't like that about questing. They want questing to be fast, simplified, in the same zone, dun 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 dun, they ding up. So yeah. Now, I'm not really gonna add a lot more to it, because this video is already about, like, 25 minutes long. I'm trying to keep my video. My plan was to keep the videos at like 10 to 15 minutes. We are seeing 20 minutes episodes now, ever since I started this talk about something. But yeah, I think we're just going to leave this topic at here for now. If you feel that I didn't finish off this topic regarding questing's current state and how it can be changed up a bit, then feel free to tell me in the comment section. I can bring it up again as a two-parter in another video. Or if you wanted to see me talk about something else in any future Let's Quest, just leave a comment, rather in the comment section down below or my Facebook page, and I'll bring it up to discussion. Now, the upcoming week, as of this video's release date, you're going to see some good videos coming up. We're going to be having the, alright, that was the Dark Portal, rad. We're going to be seeing the Archimon Mythical video coming up. It's going to be up this week. We're also going to be seeing which is, yeah, it's almost within a week now. You're also going to see my first installment of Topic of the Month, and we're also going to be seeing there's going to be another special video out there. I'm working on it. I'm working on it as we speak right now. I'm not working on it as we speak now, but it's in the background. And I'm working my way to find other types of videos, because I realized that the Let's Quest and Heroes of the Storm things, just that on my channel, can be a bit tedious. I'm trying to mix things up again. We have Watch Dogs gameplay coming soon and everything, so yeah. It's going to get good. I hope it's going to get good soon. But yeah. So why don't you also tell me down in the comment section what you personally think about Quest's current state, and what you would want to have changed, if you want something changed. And if not, then I assume that's that, and I'm going to see you guys in my next episode of Let's Quest. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you will be staying tuned for my other videos. And until the next time, my fellow gamers, have a good one.